Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Aditya. Today I'm going to show you guys how you can build a basic chat application using a JavaScript library called socket.io with React.js as the front end. So if you guys don't know React framework, starting this, don't worry. If you know basic JavaScript or basically just any other object-oriented language, you should understand it pretty quick. It's very easy. It uses JSX, and JSX is very simple to understand. So before we begin coding about this project, so I'm going to demonstrate you guys what this basic level of application that I've created here is going to do. So here I have three windows connected to my server, my chat server. I'm going to log in as three different users. First one is obviously going to be my name, so it's Aditya. Quickly you can see that it shows me I'm logged in as what name and showing me that I have joined, and obviously you can type a message over here and send, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to connect as different user as well. So I'm going to go to another window and type in a different user called as John. Now you can see that I have as John, I can see that Aditya has joined in already previously before me, and logged in as John, whatever. You can see that I can type a message and send, but I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to join in a third user name, I don't know, Cindy. So Cindy. So yeah, you get the general idea. You can also copy this or add another user, I don't know, but just for the sake of example I'm not doing it. I'm only doing it for two users including me. So let's just say if I type hi, you can see hi as you, which is me. I don't want to say that as it so yeah, hi. This time is not real. I'm not coding this at 2:30 a.m. don't worry. This is just to for the show. We'll replace this at in the near future with a proper time. You can see, yeah, in John's chat window you can see that Aditya sent hi, and also you can see in Cindy's chat window that Aditya sent hi. So you can, yeah, hi Aditya. So yeah, you can see in John, Cindy has said hi Aditya. Yeah, you get the general idea. I can see John from hi Cindy, not city, Cindy and Adi. So yeah, I got all the replies from both of them. Pretty damn cool. So yeah, this is what we're going to build. This is the basic demonstration of it. Pretty simple, very easy, and very easy to code as well. I'm going to show you that in just a moment. Before that, if you guys have not installed Node.js for React to work, you need to install Node.js to install or create a React projects. That's all. That is all you need. Socket.io is we're going to install after we have Node in our system. So you can just go to Node.js, and you can see the first. You just choose the first window, go to downloads, and whatever system you're choosing, just choose that. After downloading, you can just go to node, the CMD, the command prompt. You can go to and just type node-v. I'm using the version 14.16.0. so if you want, you can download a specific version as well. I believe I may be wrong here, I don't know, I've never done that. Okay, include 16.6.14.3. so latest version is 14.17.1. I have 14.16.0. it's not much big of a difference. Just if you want to install my version, just for the sake of this tutorial. You can go ahead and Google how you can download a specific version of Node. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to show you the installation process you need for this tutorial in the next video. Yeah, I'm excited. See you guys then. Hi, so welcome back. We just got done with the demo in the last video. So now we're going to set up our environment for the project. And as you can already see, I have opened my project folder on the CMD. Now if you guys want to open your project folder in your CMD, you can just go to your project folder and just type in CMD in this path, which is going to open your project folder in the CMD. So yeah, I've done that. So I'm gonna make a directory. I'm gonna name this as my project name, so it's gonna be Chitty Chat. Yep, that's the name I've chosen. I'm gonna go into Chitty Chat, and I'm gonna make another directory, which is gonna be a server. Now that we have set up our client side, so I'm gonna open this in VS Code directory called client, because the React app itself is going to be named as Chitty Chat. So yeah, I'm gonna clear this window. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna type npx is create -react -app, and you say Chitty Chat. Put it in small letters because it's not gonna React is gonna give you an error. NPM is gonna give you an error if you put in capital letters. It doesn't like that. Apparently you need to have small letters now for your project name. So yeah, this is going to install. It's going to take a little bit of time. After like 3 minutes it's done. So I need to go inside CD and Chitty Chat. Yep, that is how it is. And then I'm going to have to type code dot space dot and then enter. So that's going to open our VS Code, and as you can see, it has node modules, public folder, now source folder which has app. Now we need to I'm going to go out of folder and I'm going to go into the server folder. We need to do some things on the server folder as well. So I'm going to type in npm init --yes. So I'm writing this --yes for several reasons, because it asks a few questions after you just put npm init, and I don't want to just keep pressing y. So I'm just gonna put all the questions. I'm just gonna put yes to all the questions. So enter. So there you go. It creates a JSON for us. So if I go code space dot, it's gonna open a VS Code as well. Yep, there we go. Package.json. Yep. So that is pretty much it for the server and the client side. I'll see you guys next time. Hi guys, welcome back. So in the last video we finished setting up our environment, and now we're going to start with our server. I'm starting with the server because it's very simple and it's going to take less than 5 minutes. So here I am in the server folder, and we already have one file here, package.json, which we initialized last time. So here I'm going to install a socket.io npm package. and I simply do that by typing npm I socket.io. That's it. This is going to install the socket.io package, and as you can see, I have a node modules folder here now, which is going to store all my node modules for socket.io packages as well. So yeah, and now I'm going to create a source folder inside this. So C, and inside this I'm going to create a index.js. So here I need a HTTP module first. So I'm going to say import. I need create server from the HTTP module, that is server, from HTTP, and I'm also going to import the server class. Server, remember server is, the S is capital because it's a class, from socket.io. There we go. Now we're going to call this create server, and then excuse me, and then I'm going to store this in a constant called HTTP server. And also after that I need an input output connection from my socket server. So I'm going to do new server, right, and this I need to store in a constant called IO, which is input output. Yeah, and inside this socket server I need to put my HTTP server, which I've created here. Excuse me. Yeah, and also I need to put the course, HTTP course, so this doesn't give us any error later on. Course, yep. I'm gonna write origin as the HTTP / and localhost port 3000. Now 3000 is gonna be our client server, and this needs to course needs to allow the get method and post method. Yep, this is pretty much it. After this we need to have a connection initialized with the IO, with the input output. So I'm going to write IO dot on, and then simply write the event, which is connection, and then we need to call back an async function. So I'm going to write a async function, which is basically an arrow function. Inside this it has a socket. It passes a socket which we're going to work on, and now inside here we basically have a bunch of socket events. Now we're going to see these socket events at a later stage. So after this I need to have my HTTP server listen. Yeah, HTTP server, HTTP, if I can spell right, server dot listen. Now you can write this like this. Now we need to make it listen to 4000 because we already have our client server listening to 3000. So make sure you don't write 3000 over here. Make sure you make your server listen to some different port other than 3000, because the client is the React by default chooses 3000, but you can change this at any point. as well. I'm gonna write, just for the sake of it, I'm gonna write process dot env environment dot port if I ever write it from console, otherwise it's gonna be 4000. Now the reason I wrote this is because if I choose at a later stage, if I choose to run this server at some different port, then I'll just write it from my terminal. I'll just run it from my terminal and write my port number. Otherwise, if I haven't mentioned this on my terminal when I run the project, it's always going to choose the port 4000. Yep, so that makes it okay. And lastly, we need to write, I think, console.log just to see if this is listening or not listening. into port. Yep, so this is pretty much it. Yep, we have our HTTP server connecting, we have our create server method called, we're creating a new socket.io server. Our IO connection is, our IO input output is listening to a connection event. If the connection is happening, we are gonna work on some socket events later on. And when we are listening to a port, our HTTP server is listening to some port. Yep, so this pretty much sums up. Lastly, I think I need to install nodemon, because if I make any changes over here, nodemon will automatically detect, and I don't need to stop the server. I don't need to stop this program and restart the npm. It makes it a lot more easier. So I'm gonna write npm install nodemon. Actually, let me clear this so you guys can see it. npm I nodemon. So nodemon basically lets you run the server if you're making any changes at a real time, which is very helpful. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the server. So the only time we're going to come over here is to actually write these socket events. Otherwise, you're pretty much good for now. So yeah, that's it. So in the last video, we got done with the server side. Now we're going to start with our front end. As you can see, I have my front end project opened here. Inside this, you can see a folder called src. Inside that, we are gonna open app.js, and here we see a function, app function, and a few import statements, and some HTML inside. Now if I run npm start, we're gonna run this project. This might take some time if you're running for the first time. By default, it's going to open on port 3000. So yeah, this is what we get. As you can see, the React logo, and edit src app.js to save, and save to reload. And if we go in app.js, you can see edit src save to reload. If we just say blah, I don't know, and save this, save completely, blah src js, and save to reload. So yeah, that's this is the HTML that's getting rendered, and we're gonna do some couple of changes over here, and I'm gonna stop this server for now. You can just press Ctrl+C to stop. So yeah, we're gonna start from here. And before we start coding inside this function, I'm gonna install a few things. I'm gonna install a few packages before we start. So those are gonna be actually I don't need this, so I'm just gonna comment this. I have to import a few packages. which are Bootstrap, strap. Then I want some few icons, so I'm gonna install Font Awesome as well. Then finally I need socket.io package for client, which is gonna be socket.io-client. So yeah, I'm gonna install npm packages now. npm I bootstrap. This is gonna install Bootstrap. Now that our Bootstrap is installed, next I'm gonna install npm I font-awesome. After that I need socket.io-client. So npm I socket.io-client. All three of our packages are now installed. So I'm gonna import them right here by writing import. I'm gonna import CSS here. So bootstrap /this/bootstrap.min.css. And next is going to be Font Awesome, so import Font Awesome /css/font awesome css. Then I'm going to import my socket.io client. I need the IO function from socket.io-client. Yep. So yeah, these are my import statements which are necessary. Oops. And last but not least, I think I want imrc, which is going to be import React, not component, just React for now. Yeah, this is pretty much it. And now we write the HTML. So for HTML, I think our first task is to have a username. We need to enter username. We need to have a text box before we enter the chat window. We need to put our username before you enter the chat window. So I'm gonna write some HTML over here with using Bootstrap CSS. So I'm gonna write main. I'm gonna give it class name content. Excuse me, that was my phone. And then inside that I want a div. Oh my god. Class name. I want container inside. I want a margin of top 3. Yeah, and inside this I want a card. Yeah, so div on class name it's card. I want its width to be 100%. I want its text to be center, and what else? I want its border to be white. Inside this I'm gonna put a row. And this row should have a column inside. So call 12. Let's just take the whole column width. and I'm gonna put a header tag, let's say h5, with let's say enter username, and I'm gonna put another div. So this the class dflex display flex with justify content as center and py1. Inside this I'm going to put my input text with type as text, with name as username. I want to put some value as well, and a class with form control, and a placeholder which is also going to be username. This is pretty much it. Let's see how this looks on my app. Yep. Oh, I need to have autocomplete off. Why is this so big? Oh yeah, I need to put div inside this. So div with class name of colon4, and I'm gonna put my input inside this. So this should align the content, but it's not aligning the content for some reason. Content, not content, T-E-N-T. That should do it. Yep. Now I need to have my autocomplete off. So autocomplete is off. Yep. That should do it. Yeah, so it's telling us you provided a value to a prop form field without an onChange handler. So we are going to put this onChange handler now, but before that we need to put a state inside this. So let's do that. So I'm going to do state, right? So I'm going to import a function called as use state. State is going to store my input value, so I'm going to declare constant, a new user, and a function called as set new user equals useState with an empty string as a default value. So yeah, now I'm gonna pass this new user inside my JSX, and I need to have a onChange handler. Change equals, I'm gonna point this to a arrow function, which is gonna have my function called as handle change. This is gonna pass an e object, which is gonna be a current this input object, and I'm gonna write this handle function over here. So handle change equals, wait, it's not how you write it. Yep. Oh, is it? Oh, am I supposed to write this dot handle change? Is it gonna read this? Nope. I need to write this dot handle change. Is it gonna read now? Nope, it doesn't. Oh yeah, function. I need to write function. I am gonna write function over here, function handle change. Let's call that. So inside this is gonna bring our current target. I'm gonna deconstruct this as I'm gonna rename this as input. Inside this I'm gonna call our set new user function, set new user, and then I'm gonna put our input value inside it. Yep, this is pretty much it for setting up our new user. I'm trying to see what else is there. Yeah, so we can give a button below this. We can write something like a button, and we can give it class btn success, I don't know, and of join. Let's see how this looks. Yep, this looks trash. Yeah, I need to give a margin bottom for this, so I'm gonna write mb let's say 3. How does it look? That looks okay. Oh, I need to put btn class before this. That looks much better. I need to increase this width, so this is called for. That's fine. I'm gonna write width as 100, so that's gonna, yep, that looks good. That looks alright. Or I can just press after typing this, I can just press enter, and it should let me join in as well. So I'm gonna write something like an on key press, and that is also going to point to a arrow function. This is gonna have an element, the input element, and e dot code. If it's the key pressed is enter, and I'm gonna write a condition over here. I'm gonna log this new user. I'm gonna log in this new user inside our chat room. Otherwise, don't do anything else. Otherwise, you're just typing your name. If you are pressing any keys, that means you're typing your name. If you are specifically pressing the enter key, then you're logging your new user. So I'm going to write this function now. Function log new user, which is going to bring my my user, right? But I think this already has it. No, yeah, it's gonna bring my new user. So I also need to write another state which is going to have my new actual user, signed in user. So set user equals state. This is also going to be an empty string. Yeah, I need to set a username, so I'm gonna call this, oh my god, I'm gonna call this set user and pass in the new user object inside. So that should suffice our new user. We're gonna type our new user name, and then we're gonna press enter, and it's gonna log our new user. and I'm gonna put a conditional rendering inside this card. So how do we condition render? I'm gonna type if the user is there, then I'm just gonna write a message called as logged in as, and then the user object itself. How do we do this? We use backtick user. Yep, logged in as, and our username. If not, we don't have a user, then not user, then we're gonna render this HTML. Let me just cut this. And paste it inside here. Oh, am I missing? Did I forget a div? Yep, I did. I'm just gonna copy paste this inside. Yep. Let's see if we have a username. I'm gonna type Aditya. See, join. We get a error. Logged in is not a function. Logged in is not a function. So how do we write this? Oh, let's write a div inside this. What am I doing? Slash div, and then just like write in logged in as, then let's just append this user, remove this. Yep, that should pretty much do it. If I write Aditya, say join, nothing happens. Why is that? Can I refresh this? Aditya. Yep, logged in as Aditya. Pretty sure I didn't type that. Let's just type Aditya. Yep, logged in as Aditya. Why is this join button not working? Let's find out why. Oh, I didn't map this function. My bad. So on click, right? On click, it's gonna point to the log user function. The log user, new user. Yeah. Let's try now. Yep, you see logged in as Aditya. So this pretty much is our username, entering our username tutorial. Next I'm gonna start with the chat window. So yeah, let's go through what we have done. Actually, I'm gonna put this inside a component. I'm gonna create a component folder. I'm gonna put this inside so it looks much better and it's much more clean. So I'm gonna go inside src. I'm gonna create new folder. I'm gonna name them as components, components. Inside this I'm gonna create a new file, name it as new user.jsx. I'm gonna imr react. I'm going to put all of this inside, all of this code inside. For that I need to create a stateless functional component, sfc tab, and then this as new user, and inside this I'm gonna paste this entire piece of code. Let me just see where this, yep, cut, paste it here, and we need to pass a few props inside, which are going to be new user, handle change, and log new user. So yeah, let's just do that. I'm going to deconstruct this. I'm going to deconstruct the props. I'm going to type new user, handle change, then log new user. Yeah, this is referring to all of these. That's good. That is good. Yeah, so then I'm gonna import our new created component over here. I'm just gonna type new user. It's already showing me. I'm gonna just press enter. There we go. Now we have a new user. Let's just get rid of this, and I'm gonna render new user here, and then we need to pass props inside. So handle change is equals to handle change. Does it need to be this start handle change? Yep, I think so. No, I don't think so. Let's start handle change and log new user to log new user. Yep, and also not to forget new user. It's going to be new user. Yep. Yeah, so that pretty much sums up. We have created a component. This looks much clean now. Ideally we need to put all of this inside, much of this inside new user, but we'll do that at a later stage. This looks clean. I'm happy with this. Next we're gonna do the chat window, and that's gonna be when we have the user object. So this div is gonna go away. Inside this we're gonna render our chat component. Yeah, so see you guys then. Bye. So in the last video we finished with our username component. You can see if I type Aditya, which is join, it says logged in as Aditya, and we're gonna design our chat header in this now. We're gonna make this look much better, but before we do that, I'm quickly going to do one important thing. So in the last video I named this component as new user. I feel like if I name this as login, it makes much more sense, so I'm going to do that. So I just say rename, say login.jsx, and come over here, say login.jsx, login.jsx, and login. Yeah, is that okay? Is that good? I'm gonna test this. Yeah, it works. So login makes much more sense. And now on with the chat header. So I'm gonna write my chat header over here inside this. So what do I need? I need I'm gonna remove this for now. I need a class name. I'm going to display it in a card, so card with width of 100. I want this, then I want a row. Why is it not completing my syntax? I don't know. So class name, I want a row inside this, inside my div. don't know why it's finishing my, I don't know why it's not closing my div. Okay, anyway, so class, I want a call 12, call large 12, and call column of Excel 12. Yeah, then this, and then I want a avatar and actually displaying my username. So I say div class name, padding of y is going to be 2, padding for x is going to be 4. I want width to be 100. I want a border and I want a large block, display large block. I want it to stick to top, so sticky top, and I want its background to be white. And then inside this I want to display the items as flex, so I write class name display flex. I want the items to align in the center, so I say align items center, and I want a padding y for 1. Inside this I want a div with class position relative, and then I'm gonna put an avatar, so I want an image tag. So src is going to be, I'm gonna copy paste a link. So this is my avatar image, and inside this, and I want a class name. I want it to be rounded circle, and I want a margin for both sides, on both sides of 2. So yeah, if this image doesn't load for some reason, then I want an alternative title, so that's gonna be actually my username. So say user, and I want its width to be 40, oops, and its height to be 40 as well. That's gonna look more evened out. And then at the right of my avatar, I want my username to be displayed. So let's say, I don't know why it's not closing my div. It should. Anyway, flex grow for 1, and I want a strong tag inside. Oh wow, now it's closing. Thank you. I want it logged in as, and say user. Yeah, this should do it. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, it looks amazing. So yeah, this is pretty much it for the header. In the next video, I'm going to start with the chat window. So in the last video, we created this chat header. Now we're going to create a component out of this. So all of this is going to be a component. So I'm going to go on components, right click, new file, call this chat.jsx, and then I'm going to import React, and I'm going to type sfc, which is stateless functional component, give this name as chat, and then paste the HTML inside here. There we go. That's our chat header. That's our chat card, and we need a user inside this user prop. So I'm going to deconstruct our props, pass in the user over here, then I'm going to import our chat, chat, yep, import chat, and then replace all this and say chat, close this tag, and pass in our user prop with user. So there we go. That's our chat component, and inside this we have our chat header. So this is going to be also a different component itself, but we'll do that later. Before that, this chat header doesn't look good, like its borders are not so much visible, so I'm going to make some changes in that. Let's see what we can do. We can put like a strong border and border color of bootstrap info. Let's see how that looks. That looks good. Teal is my favorite color so I'm going with that. And let's see what else. We can actually increase the card's height, so let's do that. I'm gonna go in index and I'm gonna write for class of vertical height of 95. Then I'm gonna say height and 95 VH, vertical height. I'm gonna say important. There we go. And I'm gonna put this inside our row, our card row, and let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks much better. And I also want this header border, this border bottom, to be the same color as well, so let's do that. I'm gonna put, this is chat header, so border bottom, yep, border bottom, I want border info, and then I want a solid border, so I'm gonna say border, wait, that's fine, yeah, that looks good, that doesn't look bad. And so yeah, so in the next video I'm going to create a input, our input message, where we can send our messages in the bottom of this, in the bottom of our chat window. So yeah, see you then. So we are done with the chat body. Now we're going to design the input, the message input. So let's do that. Before that, I'm going to write a few classes in this. So I'm going to write display flex, and I want flex as column. Then I want this as flex as align items start, and yeah, that should do it. And I want the input to be at the bottom, so I'm going to write align items end at that, in that. So I want class name of children, class name, I want this align items, and I want a border just like our chat header border as info, so we get a nice teal color. I want padding y3 and padding x4. I want a border top, and then I want a display as large block, so it takes up the whole space. And yeah, inside this I'm going to write the div, tell its class name as input group. I want this to flex fill. Inside this I'm going to put my input tag, so I want this type text, and then I want class form control, and I want its name as message. I want its value to be null for now, to be empty string for now, sorry. I want a placeholder. I want it to say type your message. Save this so it's formatted for us. This is much cleaner. And what do we want? We want a button besides this, so button, and I want this class name as btn info. We go, that's a little bit color theme. Yeah, that looks good. I need a value for this, so I'm going to type send. That looks much better. Now we want our div to be at the bottom, so I'm gonna type margin top of auto. That should put the div at the bottom. Yeah. And now let's put an on change handler for this. So I'm gonna go into my app, then I'm gonna write message and set this as new set message. I want this to be an empty string. That's good. Then I'm gonna pass this inside here, message, and then set message equals, pass in the function set message. Nice. I'm gonna go inside chat, I'm gonna put message and then set message. I'm gonna put this inside our value, so message. I'm gonna type a on change handler, and this is going to point to a function which is going to be set message. Go. Now I could put an on change handler here and or call our handle change function over here, but I'm gonna deconstruct this here itself. So current target, I want this to be named as input, and then I'm gonna put inside here, I'm gonna put input dot value. There we go. That should automatically type in, that should automatically change our message property when we type our message. So let's do that in our login function as well. As you can see, I've already done that. I was testing this out before, so you can set this. I've done the same thing which I've done over here. You can do that on our login component, so we don't need our handle function. As you can see, I've removed it from here. So the that's that for now.
So before we move to the next task, I want to do some refactoring of code. So let's start in the app.js. Now, if you look at app.js, you're not supposed to write a lot of code over here. Mainly, it's just your main component rendering. If you go on index.js over here, you can see our app component is already rendering in our React DOM. So it's a good practice not to keep anything major inside app component besides your main component. Here you technically write your middleware functions, middleware connections, also your database connections as well. Database connections. So generally you write all of this over here. You don't. Uh, you only write your main component. You only render your main component here. So let's do that. Let's do some refactoring. It's not going to take much time. I'm going to go on components. I'm going to get a new file. I'm going to call it main.jsx. We're just going to move code over here, whatever we have written. So let's cut this. And I want IMR, React, and I'm going to type sfc. I'm going to say main. I'm going to paste this inside quickly. And what do we want? We want a lot of things over here. So let's move our components here as well. What else is remaining? React main, our login component is here, and all of our constants and functions, set functions. Yeah, and now we will actually need to import this chat component as well. Let's do that. I want a use state here, so we're using state. So, and we're gonna remove this from here. Oh, we're not even using React. That's okay. And I want this over here because at some point we're going to connect to our client, and I want to import our main function inside here. So main, there we go. Imported our main component. Excuse me. Yeah, that should do it. We have an error here. So we have an error in saying that we need to fix our import. So let's do that. I'm gonna come in main.jsx. This we're just gonna say this is inside the components folder. There we go. That should do it. Then I'm going to go inside our chat component and just compartmentalize all this. So let's create a chat header. Chat header JSX. There we go. I'm gonna React stateless function component. So chat header. Inside this, I'm going to put my HTML. Let's see what this needs. This needs just one prop, which is going to be user, and then let's import our chat header. So chat header, and then I'm going to type here chat header. There we go. Then need this, and inside this I'm going to pass user. This user. There we go. That's nice. And next is this div, input div. So I'm going to say chat input JSX import React. the chat input, copy this HTML, put it here. What does this need? This needs message, a send message, and set message. Go. Now let's import this chat input. Put this. Oops. Chat input. Pass in message. Put message. Set message. Set message. That looks so much better. And we can put this as a chat container. Would that make sense? Sure, let's do it. Why not? I'm going to remove this comment and let's put this outside for now. Say chat, excuse me, chat header 6. Oh, sorry, not chat header, chat container. And I'm gonna import React here. SFC stateless function component chat container. And I'm gonna put my HTML inside this. Blah 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 blah. There we go. That's nice. And inside this, I'm going to render our props.children to be precise. So I'm gonna write here props. I'm gonna say props.children. Then I'm going to import our chat container. Chat container. Go. Chat container, and then I'm gonna close this tag, and I'm gonna put this below our chat input and chat header. Let's see how that looks. Nothing there. Yep, that looks good. Now our code is refactored and it's much more clean now. Yeah, I'm happy with this. I'll see you guys in the next video. So in this video, I'm going to authenticate our user with some basic socket handshake authentication. And I'm going to uncomment this. And before we do that, I'm quickly going to cut this out and paste it inside our chat. We're going to use this in the future. We don't need that right now. So let's connect to our server. I'm going to say constant socket equals IO function. I'm going to type in http://localhost our socket server's address. So, and then I'm going to pass our socket object inside here. We're going to use that socket, and then I'm going to say here socket dot auth equals our an object with username of a new user, and then I'm going to say socket dot connect. Go. This is going to send our username to our socket server. Now let's go in our socket server app. Here we have our socket server, and I seem to have made an error over here. I've written HTTP, it should be HTTP, and I'm running this on port 3006. So that let's make a quick change in it. So as you can see, I have an IO connection over here, but before connecting to the server, it's going to use some middleware function. So I'm going to type in io.use. Inside this, we pass an arrow function. It's going to bring our socket and the next function, our next passing function. So I'm going to write and constant username equals socket dot handshake dot auth dot username. This is going to bring our username from the client side. I'm going to check if it is actually a string or not. If not, we're going to return some error in the next function. Let's say new error. Let's say invalid username. There we go. And if not, I'm going to say socket username equals username and socket dot user ID. That's going to be a new ID. Now I'm going to create an authentic ID. So I'm going to install an npm package. It's going to say npm I UUID. I don't remember the package name. Let me just quickly look up. Is it UUID? Yep, it seems to be that. I'm going to install this. Now that it's installed, I'm going to import UUID and don't remember the name. Import something from UUID. Yep. And this, I'm going to use the version 4. There are multiple versions. There is V1, V2, V3, V4, and there is a V5 as well, I believe. I'm just going to call this as UUID. And UUID V4, maybe? That makes more sense. I'm going to call this function here. Let's create my unique identifier. And then I'm just going to pass into the next middleware function. That looks good. I have not put this inside. There we go. So now that that's done, I'm going to come inside my connection, and I want a few things inside over here. I want to first socket.emit. I want a session with my username and user ID, which I've created over here. I want both of these things first, and I'm going to type something like user ID. It's going to be my socket dot user ID, and next I want username, which is socket dot username. Okay, there we go. So that's done for now in the socket server. I'm going to go to the client side now. Here I'm going to use effect. Here it's gonna call our socket emit function, our emit session, sorry, our emit event. So I'm gonna say use effect. This has a gonna have a arrow function over here and dependencies. So this I'm gonna write socket dot emit, and I want it's gonna call the session inside here. Arrow function. Here it's gonna have our socket object. No, sorry, our user object. So I'm gonna deconstruct that. So user ID and username. So that is gonna inside this I'm going to call our set user. Inside this I'm going to pass our user object. For now I'm just going to pass username, and let's see how this looks. So I need to put dependency inside here. There we go. Let's see how this looks. I'm going to type in Aditya. It's not letting me join for some reason. Let's see what's the problem. Oh, it's refusing the connection for some reason. Oh, I haven't done the server. My bad. The start. Oh no, sorry. It's nodemon. Nodemon x.js. Let's run the server and let's refresh this. We should log in, but it's not logging in. Oh, I made an error. It's supposed to be on, not emit. Sorry for that. I'm gonna say join. Press this and just say okay. So join. Yep, that should do it. That is it for now. In the next video, I'm going to be typing the users. So in this video, I'm going to get all the users which are connected to a server. In order to do that, we're going to have a for loop inside this. Now, you can debate that we need to use a database over here, but since we don't have a database, we are doing things differently. As you can see, we authenticated this very simple authentication by using a handshake of socket itself. If you have some sort of different authentication, you can use it over here as a middleware function. But since we don't have a database, we're gonna do things a simple way. I'm gonna say constant users, and now I'm gonna put a for off loop, and I want a constant. I'm gonna say let, and I want an ID and object of socket from io dot off. Excuse me, io dot off backslash dot sockets. Now this is gonna have this consists of all the arrays of our sockets, our users basically. So inside this I'm gonna say users dot push. I'm gonna push inside the user IDs of our connected users and the user names. The socket dot username. There we go. And then I'm going to push this. I'm going to call this event. Call this event before our session. So it's just gonna call all our users. That is something like this. bucket dot emit, say users, and pass in the users array. So let's go to our main.js. Inside this, let's call the users event, connect with users. So this is gonna have arrow function inside and the users array. Now we need to show on the front end of how many users have connected, and plus that we have joined in as well. So to do that, we are going to create a new constant in the function, name this messages, set messages. This is going to be an empty array. Inside this, I'm going to do a quick console.log users. Then let's see how this looks. I'm going to have two users joining in, so you guys can see the log. Joining is this, joining is this. So if I see console, I should have two users. Yep, Aditya and Savish. So now that we can see who else has joined in before us, or which users have joined in before us, we can now show here on our chat window which users have joined in by giving a little badge in the middle, just like you see in WhatsApp. So let's do that. I'm gonna go here and declare a new constant, set constant users and set users. I want this to be an empty array. Then I'm gonna type constant new message equals, I'm gonna say this needs to be an object. Inside this, I'm gonna say type, what type of message this is gonna be. So this is gonna be a user status. And next, I need to give a user ID. This needs to be small, which is gonna be our. Actually, we need to loop this because this is going to be an array. So let's do that. Not for half. It's going to be a users object, which is going to have our user ID inside and the username. This is not going to be inside our object, so I'm going to say constant new message type user ID. I'm going to say user ID, and then actually I don't need this. I can just say username. Yeah. So status, and then I'm going to say set users. Actually, I need to declare constant over here. Constant users. Push. And I'm going to push all these new users. Not users. I need to declare a message. These are my users. Declare a message. So I'm going to say something like messages. I need to do this already has, so I need to declare something different. Messages in so that dot push There we go. New message. Okay. Now that we have our whole message, I'm gonna quickly set messages, and then this needs to be an array. First, I need to spread whatever messages there are before. Then I'm gonna pass our message array. Yeah, this looks good. Then I need to do set users. So set users is gonna be users. Okay, that looks good. Now I need to do this as well. I need to pass user ID. I'll tell you why in a later stage. But first, let's do some corrections because we just had only one string. It was username. Now this is an object. Let's change that as well. And let's go inside our chat. Go inside our chat header and say user.username and user.username. Nice. So we need to put messages inside the dependencies. Socket messages, and users assigned a value but never used. We'll use that later. And once we have pushed our new message, we can design the HTML now. We need a chat. Now we have a chat header and chat input. Between that, we are going to need chat body. So let's design that. So here I'm going to put a class name. So I need this to be position relative and overflow auto, so we can scroll. And I'm going to put some custom CSS into this. I want chat height, so I'm going to put a custom CSS here. I'm going to index.css. I'm going to say chat height. Here I want height be calculative, so cal c. I want 100% minus 20 vertical height, and I want this to be important. So yeah, after that I'm gonna name one a div inside here with class name, padding 4 all around, and here I want flex. Oh, sorry, dflex, display flex, and I want flex column. What was the name of CSS? I forgot. Checking the name. Flex column, yeah. Flex column, and inside here I want my messages to be rendered. So let's bring in the messages. Messages. Yeah, messages. Set message. Assign prop. Come inside here. Assign the prop. And then a loop. Then place the map. Then inside here I want an arrow function. I'm going to say return. Here it's going to be message and the index. Here I'm going to write message dot type equals user status. Then or I can put just double and or not. I want to return a div here, so I'm gonna write div slash div. Otherwise, I want this to be null. So inside here, first of all, I want to write key. I want this div to be unique, so oops, index, and then I want a class name as text center, and then inside this, I want a span, and the span class name badge, and then pg info background is the info color, which is teal color, and I want the message dot user ID. I want a conditional entering over here, so I'm going to put brackets if message dot user ID equals user dot user ID. Then if the message ID joins with user ID, then I'm going to say you have joined. That means I have joined. Otherwise, it's going to say the message's username has joined. Right? So dollar tick. I'm going to say message dot username as joined. So here I need to make another change saying that user dot user ID is existing. Then it should render the chat component. Otherwise, if you don't have the user ID, then render the login component. Let's see. Yep. Now I'm gonna say Aditya, join in. Then I'm gonna join in as someone else, say John, and it didn't render for some reason. So one error over here, I forgot to put a spread operator here, and also on the server side, I just put the socket ID here. You need to put you don't need to put the socket ID. You need socket dot user ID. So let's test this now. Let's say right there. Save. You have joined. That's good. And I'm going to say John. See, Aditya has joined. This is good. But if I go to Aditya, you can see that there is no a message of John joining in. We'll see how we can get this message of John joining in later in the next video. Now that we can see which users have joined before us, now we need to see which users have joined after us as well. So I'm going to go into server, and here I'm going to write an event. So this is going to be new user event. So say socket dot. So I want to broadcast this, not to me. I want to broadcast this to other users that a new user is connected. So user connected. And here I'm going to pass the same thing which I have passed over here. I'm just going to copy this, paste it. It's not a full stop, that's a comma. And that's it for the server side. Now on the client side, I'm going to write here socket dot on. It's going to be user connected. So this is also going to be a message that a user has connected. So we're just going to write the same thing, which is going to be this. But this time this is not a array, so we're not going to use the for loop. I'm just going to copy this username name and then type user status. I don't like this, so I'm going to change it to user status. And before we forget, let's change it over here as well. Um, where's the user status? There we go. That's nice. And so after this, I'm gonna type set messages, and I'm gonna spread the messages before this messages. Then I'm gonna put my new message. So let's check if this works. I'm gonna say Aditya. Here I'm gonna say John. There we go. He has joined. John has joined as well. Aditya has joined, and then I joined as well. Let's create a third user. Let's say Cindy. There we go. John has joined. Cindy has joined. You have joined. Cindy has joined. Aditya has joined. John has joined. City has joined. That's great. This is working. Nice. Now that we have finished with this, we can work on our message component. But before that, we need to make some changes in our input component. So let's do that. I'm going to go on our client side project. Now I'm going to go on chat input. We need to change this to a different function called a send message. Send message, not set message. So let's do that. Send message. Change this to send message. This and this. Change this as well. And finally, change this. I'm going to write here function send message, and here we'll pass our set message function. We have our message inside here, so let's copy that. And here I want to first emit a socket event, which we are going to write in our server side as well. So this is going to be a event called new message, not new user, and this is going to have our message inside. It's going to send our text message in here, and also we are going to type in our constant new message. So this, I'm going to say it's not going to be an object. Inside this, and I'm going to write type. This is going to be a type message. This is and the user ID. First the user ID. So it's going to be our user object. So user dot user ID. It's going to be a user ID. And then a user name. So user dot user name. And then we're going to pass this inside our messages. So I'm going to say set messages. So this I'm going to spread our first previous messages and then our new message inside this. So you can tell by the type of it if it's user status or is the user's message. So And after this, I'm gonna type user username. Oh, and the actual message itself. I don't forget that. Yeah, message. Yeah, that's good. And then I'm gonna set message switch to blank, just so we can clear our input. And now we need to write socket.emit on our this new message event on our socket server. So let's do that. Here in the server, I'm going to type new message event. Here I'm going to write socket.on. Here it's going to call our new message. Inside this, it's called a function. Here is going to have our message, text message. And here I'm going to socket.broadcast.emit new message. Here I'm going to pass in the I need to send who has this been sent from. So I'm gonna say user ID socket dot ID. Nope, user ID, and it's username. Excuse me, username socket dot username. Excuse me, socket dot username, and then the message itself is good. And then I need to go on client side again and write this inside our new use effect. Excuse me. So user connected session and then socket dot on new message. Inside here, there's a bunch of things. So there's user ID, there's username, and the message itself. Three properties, and this is going to be inside an arrow function. Going towards an arrow function. This is going to have the same thing. Let me just copy a few things. Let's do this. Let's do this. Yep, this looks good. Let's check this user user ID, not user ID, want this username to be username, and a new message, two messages. Yeah. Um, let's see if this is correct. Um, I also need to write some HTML, right? Oh yeah. So let's do that. HTML inside here. So what do I need? I need a div, right? So that's the basic thing. I want this. I want a key. Just a key, right? So we have already given a condition of user status. If this is not user status, this is automatically a message. We don't need to give another condition for that. So yeah, key has to be index. And I want this class name to be parent object 4. Okay, I think I need to condition render this. So if message, not messages, message dot user ID equals user dot user ID, then I want this message at the right side. So I'm gonna say chat message, right? So this is a custom class. I'm going to write my CSS later. Prime button 4, else I want, this is a message from another user, so I'm going to say chat message left, and this also has to be button 4. Yep, that looks good. So let's write chat message right and chat message left. I'm going to index message index.css and chat message right, chat message left, and I want a margin auto right, margin right of auto, and I want left, margin left of auto, margin left of auto, and I want this to have a flex direction of row reverse. So this is left. Yeah, it's gonna go on the left side. Of this, I'm gonna go to this. I want another div inside this. Why is this not closing my tags? I don't know. Here I want an img tag. This is gonna be my avatar. So src. I'm just gonna copy a link. This is my avatar photo. If you guys want, you can copy this. It's gonna have class name. I want it to be a rounded circle. After one, margin right 1, and then I want alternative to have it displayed my username. Message dot username. We can put a title here as well. Why not? Message dot username. Name. I want its width to be 40. Oops. So string, and I want its height to be 40 as well. Then inside here, I want another div. Can you please close class name? I want this text muted. This is going to show our time. So text muted. I want this to be small. I want a text no wrap, so no padding in it, padding and all that. And I want its margin top to be 2. Here we can give some time. I don't know. Yeah. Let's put 12. Not 12, 12. And after this, inside here. And after this, I want another div. I'm gonna say close this class name. I want it flex to shrink. This is going to be our actual message, and flex shrink 1, excuse me. And I want this to have a light color, and I want it to be rounded, and padding y2 and padding x of 3, and margin of 3. Another div inside this. It's gonna have class of our actual weight, font weight, bold, and margin bottom of 1. here we're going to render our username. So if message dot username, also user ID is equals to user dot user ID, and what's wrong here? Oh, 4 equals, nope, 73, and then I want you, which is going to be me. It's going to be typed by me, or message dot user, and the actual text message we typed in on our input box. So message dot message. There we go. Slight mistake. I accidentally put this send message. I do need this send message, so I'm going to keep it there. But it's not going to be here. It's going to be set message itself, but at the wrong place. So I need onto this, and this is going to point to another function. You know the deal. It's the code. If it's enter, then I want some message to be called, otherwise nothing. And let's put set message also. Let's say this, and also I'm going to call send message over here, set message over here, excuse me, set message, set this, and also set message inside this. So it looks like I messed up a few of my CSS. So let me just write this again, um, saying that chat message dash left comma chat message dot right slash right. I want this to display as flex, and I want flex shrink to 0. There we go. And I also say chat left, this margin right as auto, and then chat message right as flex direction reverse, and margin oops, and margin left as a CSS called chat window. So chat window, and this is going to be z index 100, and I want this height to be 100% as well, and overflow to be hidden. Next, we're gonna have a chat class called chat input. So chat input, and this I want its position to be sticky, and its bottom to be 0, and its background color doesn't really matter. I want this to be bottom to be more precise. And now let's put these into the respective classes. So the chat window class is going to go inside chat container. The chat input is going to go inside, you guessed it, chat input inside here. And in the last video, I think I said that I'll be using scrollable feed. So let's uncomment that, and I want this below our this below this div. I close this and let this. So this. So yeah, this should technically work. What else is missing? I think I'm missing something. Oh yeah, the scrollable feed gives you a particular CSS. I'm gonna type this CSS out. Guess gonna copy it as well. It's called styles. I believe styles underscore scrollable scroll scroll scrollable dash div underscroll br s capital C capital V. Now it's a ridiculous name. I want its max height to be calculated as 100% um, minus 2 pixels. It's important its height to be the same. So calculated 200 pixels. Its overflow y to order. This should do it. Let's check now. I'm gonna say Aditya, John, John. Yes, sure. Okay. Um, so John's gonna say hi. John will say hi. Say hi. Say what's up. Let's say what's up as well. Yep. We have a scroll, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't want to say not much. You. Oh, this is amazing. I'm chatting with myself. This is sad. um, if another user joins in, let's say Cindy joins in, you can see like John has joined in, Aditya has joined in, and Cindy has joined in. See, Cindy has joined in. That's good. That's amazing. This means our application works. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any previous messages, but we can do that as well. We can store our messages on the socket.io server. If you guys want, you can do that just like we did with users. Whatever new message that's going to come in here, you can store into something like um, messages, like constant messages, and you can push every time a new message comes in. So this pretty much concludes the phase one of this application. I'm really glad if you guys stuck by and watched through the phase one. I'm going to keep building this application to the next level. The next level is going to be private messaging. We are not going to see multiple users joining in. We're just going to see one-to-one chat. So yeah, I'm very excited to show you guys this. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.